All right, let me make one thing clear before I start. Dear Stans, this account is for honest K-pop opinions and discussions. Disagreeing is fine, but hate and personal attacks are unnecessary. Please keep the discussion respectful. Kiss kiss.
This era took a bigger hit on their musical reputation than their sheer popularity. Ever had that cringe moment where you get secondhand embarrassment? The shame you felt is so deep you want to crawl under a rock and never show your face again? Well, some K-pop eras felt exactly like that for the idols, at least. Behind the BS of K-pop, there are eras that made fans go, "What the F did I just listen to?" and left careers wobbling like a rookie on roller skates. Not every comeback is a mic drop because sometimes it's more like a faceplant. Hello again, Rosieries, both old and new to my flopping channel. Let's dive into the K-pop eras that threw a serious curveball at some careers. Sneakers era is one of those moments people love to argue about, but culturally it was a bit of a career bruise. No, Itzy didn't become Nugu overnight, and yes, they still sold albums, but Sneakers was the era that totally cracked their elite image. Remember how the rollout went? JYP teased us with visions of royalty, elegance, and maturity, making fans think Itzy was about to level up and evolve into something next level. Then the song dropped and it hit like a Nickelodeon gym class anthem. The whiplash was real. This era did some serious damage by making casual listeners stop trusting Itzy's teasers, turning the group into stan joke material, and breaking the untouchable performance queen vibe they had been rocking since Dalla Dalla and Wannabe. Even Korean forums started openly chatting about why every comeback after that seemed to lose its impact. Sneakers wasn't a total disaster, but it definitely left a mark like stepping on a Lego in the middle of your glow-up. Weekly's Venpera era is honestly one of the most heartbreaking stories in 4th gen K-pop. They had everything going for them, which was a perfect vibe with a fresh school concept, a viral hit with After School that everyone loved, a super recognizable identity, and an image that was totally friendly to the general public. It was like they had found their sweet spot and built a little kingdom out of it. Then, out of nowhere, IST decided to flip the script and push them into this dark girl crush concept. Venpera was considered a flop by some fans, and it wiped away every reason people cared about them in the first place. Fans had mentally put Weekly in the refreshing girls box, and when that shine disappeared, nothing took its place. Instead, they got lost in the sea of countless girl crush groups already flooding the 4th gen scene. It was like watching someone drop their ice cream right after the first lick, which is painful and utterly avoidable. This era basically killed their momentum right on the spot. One moment they were the fresh breath of spring, and the next they were just another face in the overcrowded crowd, struggling to stand out. It's a tough lesson in what happens when you lose sight of what made you special. Helicopter era didn't crash and burn because the song was bad. Nope, it wrecked them because it laid bare the harsh truth that Cube Entertainment had mentally checked out on the group long before. Helicopter was hyped up like this epic last-ditch comeback, the big moment to save CLC. Fans rallied hard, and internationally, the song even got some decent buzz. But after that, crickets. No steady promotions, no backup plans, no real company push. Instead of bringing CLC back to life, the Helicopter era ended up feeling like their public funeral the moment everyone finally saw the writing on the wall. Cube wasn't coming to save them, and this era confirmed it in the most brutal way. Sometimes a comeback doesn't kill a career because of the music, but because it exposes the cold, hard truth of abandonment. It's like giving a group a shiny new car with no gas in the tank and watching them stall right in front of everyone. Helicopter wasn't a comeback. It was the last blink before the lights went out. This era took a bigger hit on their musical reputation than their sheer popularity. The song still did well on the charts because, well, they're BlackPink, but the complaints about how they kept recycling the same formula, weak lyrics, and a tired structure got way louder than before. Casual listeners started to openly say that BlackPink seemed to be leaning more on their brand power than actually evolving musically with this comeback. And don't even get me started on the Born Pink tour. That was like watching a fireworks show fizzle out halfway through. The whole thing went up in smoke thanks to a mix of off-sync dancing, lip-sync accusations, Jennie's hit-or-miss performances, shaky vocals, and a bunch of other issues that made fans and critics alike cringe. It was as if the dazzling image they worked so hard to build suddenly had a few cracks showing, and everyone was watching. Pink Venom wasn't a disaster in sales, but it definitely stirred the pot in a way that made people question if BlackPink was running on brand hype more than pure talent these days. Yeah, the song gets a lot of praise now. Somewhat. But back when it dropped, it really messed with the group's identity in a big way. Cherry Bullet came out swinging with a bright, gaming-inspired concept that was fresh and fun. Then, out of nowhere, they took a sharp turn into something way more elegant and kind of distant, leaving fans scratching their heads. To make matters worse, they'd already lost some members before this era even started, which drained what little brand consistency they had left. It was like watching a bright, energetic runner suddenly switch directions mid-race and lose their footing. Hands up confused people, and it shook the foundation of what Cherry Bullet was supposed to be all about. You want to keep your vibe strong in K-pop, but this era felt like the group was trying on a new outfit that didn't quite fit, leaving everyone wondering who they really were. It's a classic case of a concept pivot gone sideways, and it left Cherry Bullet struggling to find their groove again. Oh man, this era was super controversial, but hear me out. The song itself wasn't bad by any means, but it was the first StayC title track that just didn't hit with that immediate punch they'd been known for. After bangers like So Bad, ASAP, Stereotype, and Run To You, fans were hyped for another addictive, high-energy teen anthem that would stick in your head like bubblegum. Instead, Beautiful Monster came through softer, slower, and just didn't grab you right away. This era snapped StayC's streak of unstoppable hits and gave birth to the dreaded phrase that fans and critics still whisper about, which was StayC's comeback didn't hit like before. And once that kind of doubt creeps in, future releases get judged with a microscope no matter how good they are. Fans are still debating exactly when the momentum shifted, but Beautiful Monster is always in the hot seat. It's like the moment they slipped on a banana peel in the middle of a sprint, and now everyone's watching to see if they can get back up and keep running. Vivace was a rough patch for Lightsum because it made them feel totally identityless. The problem was, it came out right when elegant, IS1 style music was all the rage. Instead of carving out their own unique flavor, Lightsum ended up sounding like a weaker copy of a trend that fans were already loving somewhere else. For rookie groups, that's career sabotage because they absolutely need a clear, recognizable identity fast to stand out in the crowded K-pop jungle. After Vivace dropped, the question shifted from what Lightsum's potential was to what exactly this group was supposed to be. That's a dangerous place to find yourself so early on. It's like showing up to a party where everyone's dressed to impress and realizing you forgot your outfit entirely. Fans and critics alike got confused, and that confusion can kill momentum before it even starts. Vivace didn't just miss the mark. It left Lightsum wandering in the wilderness searching for a vibe that wasn't quite there yet. It's a tough lesson on how important it is for rookies to own their sound and style from the jump. Yeah, it was a commercial win, but when it comes to reputation, it was a wild roller coaster that left people pretty divided. The flute instrumental in the song became a meme machine, and even people who aren't fans couldn't resist dragging it mercilessly. It really cemented the idea that NCT 127 was all about this experimental noise music vibe that casual listeners just couldn't get into. Their hardcore fans stuck by them through thick and thin, but this era only made the gap between the loyal fandom and the general public feel bigger than ever. And that flute, oh man, that flute still haunts people's heads like an annoying ringtone you can't turn off. It's one of those sounds that's so catchy, it's almost painful, and you find yourself humming it, whether you want to or not. Sticker wasn't a flop by any stretch, but it definitely turned some heads in ways that made people either love or cringe. It may not be a horrific disaster, but it definitely threw a wrench into the insane momentum they'd built up from Hot Sauce and Hello Future. After those bangers, fans were bracing for another massive anthem that would have them hitting repeat like there was no tomorrow. Instead, Glitch Mode showed up and left a lot of people feeling underwhelmed, saying it didn't quite have the stickiness or emotional punch they were hoping for. It wasn't like the group took a nosedive, but the song slowed down the rocket ride they were on, putting a little pause on their explosive upward trajectory. It's like they were sprinting full speed ahead and then suddenly had to catch their breath. Not every song has to be a firework, but with a streak like NCT Dreams, the bar was sky high and Glitch Mode just didn't quite clear it. Still, the group's star isn't fading, they're just gearing up for their next big leap. Someone greenlit this, someone said it was okay, someone thought it would be cool to traumatize the general public with this ear-bleeding nonsense, someone thought it was okay to have this song leave the garbage bin. I honestly don't know what the crack did to whoever was in charge's brain, but you have to be seriously effed up to humiliate your group like this. Nature's Rika Rika era felt like the moment when people just stopped taking the group seriously altogether. The song got dragged hard for its repetitive hook, awkward styling, and overall production quality that left a lot to be desired. Instead of building on the darker, more intriguing vibe they had with girls, this comeback made Nature look totally directionless. Even their own fans were left scratching their heads, trying to figure out what was going on with that sudden tonal switch. The real problem was that Nature was already standing on shaky ground with a fragile fanbase and inconsistent management behind them. Dropping such a polarizing comeback at that delicate stage was like walking a tightrope without a net, and Rika Rika basically wiped out whatever momentum they had managed to hold on to. Instead of being remembered as a solid comeback, the song became more of a meme, like something people laughed about rather than a track they actually wanted to listen to again. It's a tough break for a group that desperately needed to keep building, but instead, they hit a major bump in the road. More and More era is probably the biggest talking point when it comes to Twice losing some momentum. The song did all right commercially, but this era kicked off a wave of backlash about their vocals and encore stages. The criticism of their live performances got so loud, it almost drowned out the comeback itself. On top of that, people started saying Twice's signature bright and bubbly formula was getting a little too repetitive. Then came Scientist, which hit harder internally than most admit. The song wasn't hated, but it definitely felt like a letdown after the smooth vibes of Alcohol Free and the massive international hype from the feels. Fans were expecting a groundbreaking comeback, but got something safe and low energy instead. It showed in the Korean charts too, where it didn't perform as strongly. And we can't forget about Set Me Free, which was poorly received by the majority of fans and non-fans, sadly. All it did was reinforce the idea that Twice's hold on the Korean public was slipping. International fans loved the mature sound, but domestically, it didn't have the same impact. The song did okay when it first dropped, but the era sparked a lot of chatter about Sunmi leaning too hard into being gimmicky and quirky rather than showcasing her usual musical sharpness. The rap section became the easy target and got dragged mercilessly, ending up as the main topic of conversation instead of the song's actual quality. After years of critically praised bangers like Gashina, Siren, and Porapipim, this comeback felt like the first real crack in her untouchable reputation. It was like watching a star who had always been on point suddenly trip on her own shoelaces. Fans and critics alike started to wonder if maybe Sunmi had been trying too hard to mix things up and lost a bit of the magic that made her stand out. It wasn't a total disaster, but it definitely marked a shift in how people viewed her artistry, and not necessarily for the better.
Yeah, I'm like ice cream, oh yeah, oh yeah. Got you wishing you could, you can try me, oh yeah.
Ice Cream era took a lot of heat because people felt the song came off as childish and a bit outdated, especially when you compare it to the bold confidence and sharp image she had built with Dum Dum and that refreshed electronic club pop identity with Fast Forward. Fans were really hoping she would level up musically and show some growth, but instead, Ice Cream kind of made everyone hit the reset button on the conversation about the black label, not really knowing what to do with Somi. It was like watching someone who had been climbing steadily suddenly take a step back, leaving fans scratching their heads and wondering if the label was just tossing her into concepts without a clear plan. The comeback didn't totally flop, but it definitely stirred up doubts and reignited debates about whether Somi was being handled right. Instead of solidifying her place as a rising solo star, Ice Cream felt like a detour that paused her momentum and left people wanting more focus and direction from the team behind her.
마음에 안 들어. Who that? 자꾸 우리 주인공이 이렇게 망치는 건 마음에 안 들어. Who that? 잠깐만 기다려봐. 하루 종일.
Kiss of Life was one of those groups that you were rooting for hard until they decided to give you the biggest FU and hit you deep in the balls with a giant baseball bat. The hit is so severe, so hard, that you can feel your balls shatter into a million pieces. I desperately wanted to believe that the members were doing drugs, that they chose to humiliate themselves. Nah, just kidding. After the BS black K-pop fans had to tolerate over the years, this downright made me and everyone else furious. Yeah, their momentum hit a serious speed bump thanks to a disconnect between their smooth R and B roots and some questionable creative choices. Igloo was a viral hit and showed promise, but leaning heavily on hip-hop tropes set them up for a major backlash with the 2025 racist controversy that really hurt their international reputation. The worst part was that they knew what they did was wrong but went with it anyway. What a perfect way to destroy what fanbase you had. After that mess, they dropped Live, Love, Laugh, which came off as a tone-deaf, PR-safe move that didn't really address the fans' concerns and felt more like damage control than genuine artistry. Then came Lips Hips Kiss, which many saw as a dip in musical quality, veering into TikTok bait territory with catchy but shallow production. Instead of being known as authentic vocal powerhouses, these releases painted Kiss of Life as a group caught in the messy web of corporate mismanagement and cultural insensitivity. Kiss of Life should be a prime example of a promising act trying to find their footing, but stumbling over bad decisions that turned what could have been a smooth ride into a bumpy, confusing journey for fans and critics alike. Even the biggest stars have their oops moments, and that's what makes K-pop so real and relatable. These eras might have shaken things up in unexpected ways, but they also remind us that nobody's perfect. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, and sometimes you just hope the next era has a better beat. Here's to the comebacks that keep us all on our toes. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and like, subscribe, and click that notification bell rosieries to get more content. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!